Okay, so I'm just gonna let this kind of flow. Looked at my last video and I look like a hot mess, so I tried to fix myself up a little bit. And I definitely need to go fix my head after seeing my video. I haven't done a video in a long time. Anyway, that's neither here or there. I want to let this roll. I want to get it out there. But everyone else isn't getting it out there right now. Humanity in itself is just going through. I can't even say it. So, I know which word to use. That COVID-19, right? You hear these stories about families coming back together, and because it's now a life or death issue, and so apparently there has been a huge resurgence of families getting back together and forgiving different political divides and forgiving each other. And I always forgave my mom for what she did. She's gone through cycles in her life, which I definitely know narcissistic personality disorder stems from childhood abuse and coping with it. I don't know about genetics. Like, there could be some thing in there, but you wouldn't think that I would say this, but the flying monkeys are actually worse, I think, than the narcissist or the person that is suffering from narcissistic disorder, because they're kind of aware of what's going on. They can see it from an outside viewpoint without having this personality disease, and they're pretty disgusting. And I'm going to get to one flying monkey in my mom's case, who wasn't even related to me. I'll get to that in a second. But back onto COVID. My own personal story real quick. I came down with it. I went stupidly. I have a friend who's Colombian, and she wanted to go get her hair and nails done. So against better judgment, I jumped. I'm a help. I help people. I'm an empath. So, yeah, I jumped on the subway with her to go to Elmhurst, Queens on March 14th. This whole time, ever since January, I was telling my sister, texting my sister, and now my sister is the one who I say is slow and can't take care of herself. But I was texting, "Hey Elizabeth, this virus is coming. Stay safe, stay safe, stay safe." And of course, poor thing thought I was crazy or something. But so I sent my mom and my sister masks and gloves, and because of this whole disconnect with what's happened about like the flying monkeys and my mom. But my mom, the actual person suffering from this disorder, actually came to light and realized what she had done was wrong. But the flying monkeys weren't going to have it. They had already had their money signed all over to them. And when my mom broke her ribs, I remember I took her to the hospital, and she looked around and she said to me, "This is where I'm mad at these people. I'm mad at these people because they knew better. They knew what they were doing." She said to me that she had, just out of the blue, once they gave her the pain medication, she's like, "When are they going to pay me my 80 grand back? I lent them, and they said they were going to pay it back when they sold the house." And then she realized, well, thank God she lived, but we didn't know what was going on. It was just her rib cages. She didn't know if she had lung cancer or not. So she looked up and she started to cry, and she said, "Michelle, no one ever really loved me. I loved her. I still do. She's my mom. My mother has achieved much more than any of these people around her that were only interested in her money have ever achieved in their whole life. So I have learned from a spiritual point of view and from a soul point of view to forgive my mom for everything." But these flying monkey people, they're really sickos. Okay, so back on to COVID-19. So yeah, after I came back from Elmhurst, we rented a car from JFK and kind of and I'm very embarrassed to admit it, we hightailed it out of there. I've been watching about the news on Wuhan ever since January, so I remember people looking at me like I was crazy back in February when I'd always walk. I did not want to take that subway, but on the rare occasions that I did, I had my Lysol in hand, and I even sprayed down my debit card. So yeah, make a long story short, I'm going to be taking the antibody test. I don't know if I already said that. I might have. But yeah, so I sent my mom and my sister, both who are at high risk, extremely high risk. My mom has stage 4 COPD, and my sister is obese, and that's another risk factor. I sent them a box of masks and gloves, and I'm just hoping, for God's, like, I emailed my mom. I told my sister, please don't go out. Please don't go out. Please don't go out. Get your groceries delivered. Get your groceries delivered. Don't go out. And I'm just hoping that my kind thoughts indeed don't, like, end up being the reason why they get it. Because they both went out shopping 2 days ago, I think, feeling secure with my gloves and surgical masks. But they didn't wait for this. This is the one I was going to tell them to use, the N95. So, I was going to send these in the mail. I wanted to tell my sister the surgical masks don't really, and tell my mom, but thanks to these flying monkeys, they have just separated us. And, yeah. Okay, so flying monkeys and narcissistic personality disorder. On to that. Okay, the first flying monkey that I came across, mind you, not, my mother goes through cycles in her life. She has. She goes up for 5 years, she hates your guts, and then she loves you for 5 years. And then up, she hates your guts, loves you. Like, that's just her. It's not her soul. It's, unfortunately, her brain has come to adapt from severe trauma in her childhood. Anyway, so these flying monkeys, at first, are like, oh, wait, you just inherited $1 million. Yeah, we're going to go along with you. We hate your daughter, too. Oh, yeah. And the worst one of them was not even really, well, they're all terrible people, but the worst, well, the one that shocked me the most was this lady that used to come around me and my sister and my family, along with my aunt. She was my aunt's best friend from Birmingham, Alabama. Little tiny little thing, 5'1". And I always thought she was cool as hell. I was like, oh my God, she's so pretty. She had this beautiful blonde hair. She's kind of like this Dolly Parton-esque figure. I always thought she was super cool. So, but I never heard from her my whole entire life. Never got an never, nothing. Never heard from this lady ever. But I did add her on my Facebook because I was like, oh, that's my aunt. My aunt's pretty cool. She likes Star Wars and stuff. She's pretty cool. I'm going to add her. So, I get this random Facebook message from her when I'm in Australia. I'd put a picture of my boss up, and my boss, he is a CEO of a steel company. I had been working in Singapore before that for the steel company. No, for a drone company, which was actually featured in the Washington Post. It was a big deal. I was doing business developmental management. And these rednecks, and I'm going to go back to white trash rednecks because that's what they are. They have zero international travel, zero, okay, so this woman, this 5'1" woman, I get this weird Facebook text message out of the blue. This is a person I've never heard from my whole entire life. She goes, oh, after I posted a picture of my boss and myself, I was getting sponsorship. That means in Australia, if you get sponsorship, you can actually live there. And I was hoping to immigrate to Australia. And he was impressed with my previous work in Singapore, working for the drone company, which is a very high-profile company. But these white trash rednecks in Alabama were thinking with their minds in the gutter. So, make a long story short, this NancyBurgess Holly lady married a man that was like about 20 years younger than her. And her best friend, my aunt, who my mother has signed everything over to, married a 21-year-old guy from the Navy. Okay, we're talking a 50-year-old marrying a 21-year-old for Navy benefits. And they met at a Star Wars convention. yeah, it gives me a headache too. So I have lost my inheritance this time around, not only to rednecks, but to pedophile rednecks that marry at Star Wars conventions. Go figure. So anyway, they were looking at my pictures, and I always kept private my work life. But when I went to Singapore, my friend, I didn't, it was a startup company, so pay was very low. And I've starved in San Francisco and I've starved in New York, but to starve in Singapore, like, it is legitimately like the most expensive country in the world. I ate bread and I did water fasts. So, and the only friends that I really had, I met through Meetup, and they were all salsa dancers. So when you dance salsa, you dress pretty sexy. It's part of the culture. I dance caleño style, I do bachata, I do merengue, like, I don't really not good with Cuban style salsa dancing, but, so these people were looking at my pictures, and when I would go out, I would post pictures of my salsa friends and I, and so they were looking at our pictures, and figuring, oh, okay, so these two women, these two flying monkeys, my aunt, who my mother signed everything over to, and NancyBurgess Holly, her best friend, the little midget blonde girl, lady, they're looking at my pictures along with their husbands, who are both in the Navy. Now, what do Navy men do when they go to Singapore and Australia? What's the first thing they do? Prostitutes. They go see prostitutes. So, I get this text message from Nancy, and she's like, oh, when I put my picture of my boss up, she's like, oh, we know what you're up to. Do you remember Nick? I was so happy at the time. I was like, what the hell is this woman on? I've never heard from this woman, and now she's saying, do I remember Nick, and they know what I'm up to. Okay. So, the dynamic's already starting. They're already starting to spread gossip and rumors about me. They don't know who I am. They know nothing about me, nothing about who I am as a person, or what I've experienced, or why I do what I do. I have a IQ that's probably way higher than these people could even get up to. And if I sound narcissistic with that, it's okay. My high IQ is higher than, I'm an ENTJ. I'm a female ENTJ, which is 2% of the population and 0.1. So my mind is just wired a little differently. Basically, make a long story short, I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd. I'm a geek in a bimbo female body. Okay, so people judge me on the way I look and think dirty things when I'm thinking with my mind and my heart. And that's why I meant to say the IQ level. Like, I can see a person, not always, I make mistakes sometimes, but I can see a person and not just immediately judge them based on their looks. Thank God